GrowthWheel has trained more than like almost 3,000 business advisors, incubator managers, entrepreneurship educators, people like you, all across the United States and in 38 countries around the world. So it's being used in many places. I do know, as I mentioned earlier, Sarah Razavi of Working Solutions is working it, and she said it has really allowed their business advising stuff to scale. So David and his colleague Elizabeth, who I understand used to be a SPDC director, so she speaks your language, are going to tell us about GrowthWheel, and then if what they present to you is interesting, please email me, and we'll put the email into chat at the end of the webinar, and we can talk about what it might mean to aggregate people onto the GrowthWheel platform, connect people with the GrowthWheel platform, depending on everybody's interests. So David and Elizabeth, I'm going to mute myself and take it away.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. Some of you may know us already or have met us. If there's any SPDCs on the call, we've been at the SPDC conference for how many years, Elizabeth?
A lot.
A lot, I think since 2011 or something like that in San Diego, if anybody was there, when the lights went out. And we've been at the SPDC conference, the SPDC conference, but also I was thinking about the Women Business Center conference. So you may have met us there, and we are going again this year in Elizabeth.
Salt Lake City.
That's right. Coming up here later this year in September, I think. So, and others may have met us at the IEDC conference. We are not so loyal participants at the IEDC, but every now and then we come around to meet up at that conference as well. So I'm gonna just kick it off here and show what we've got, and I'll just share my screen right here and get this slide deck going. We really live and breathe to help small business advisors be the best they can be. And that means supporting the workflow that you have as a business advisor with things that you're already using, other stuff than GrowthWheel. You are most likely using visual tools, and you probably have some kind of software. And for the last 10 years, we've been working on that and trying to find the best way to support with that. The workflow that you have, if your work is like many other business advisors, would look something like this, more or less formal. You have an onboarding process. You take the client in, maybe they fill out a 641 form if you are receiving SBA funding. You collect information about the client, so you can help them, and you may provide information about your center. You make some kind of assessment of the client, how you can help them. The simplest way is to ask, how can I help you? More sophisticated ways are using a SWOT analysis or a balanced scorecard or other tools, or GrowthWheel. You probably share tools with the client, any kind of knowledge, PDF files, videos, links, stuff like that. And you make some kind of an action plan, maybe write an email. We agreed that until I see you next time, you should update your cash flow budget or stuff like that. You do reporting, maybe for the client, certainly for your stakeholders, your center, your management, SBA, and others. And then you manage the relationship by tracking information, phone number, address. You do meeting minutes, you track time maybe, and your emails, you're tracking so you can see the correspondence you have with the client and things like that. So that's the very generic workflow that you might have, and we made tools to support this workflow. We also made an infographic, and if you would like this info, because it doesn't relate to GrowthWheel, it's really the work that you do, where we specified the things I just spoke about. So if you would like this infographic, just send me an email at david@growthwheel.com, and I'll send it right to you. It can be an inspiration in your organization, no matter what tool you're using, to go in and talk about how can this workflow be improved in all the little small details that can be used for that. Users of GrowthWheel is small business centers, women business centers, chambers of commerce, incubators. We also have a few private consultants, but 95% of our clients are government-funded organizations. But there's a few, they can use GrowthWheel if they want. Also a few investors and lenders and banks we see as well going into this space. I don't have to say so much about GrowthWheel because Heidi did such a good job in presenting us a little bit. A few more slides is that when we say we want to make advisors the best they can be, we mean to be smart, trusted, and valuable. And smart doesn't mean that you run the business on behalf of the clients, right? We don't want to take ownership of that. It's their project. But being a smart business advisor means that you can give the client new ideas and perspectives. Being trusted doesn't only mean that they trust you as a person, which is an absolute requirement. It's also that clients can trust that you have a process, that you don't show up with a cup of coffee and a notepad, but you have some kind of system where they believe this process is going to help me. And of course, to be the best business advisor you could be, you'd have to be valuable. Clients are busy and sometimes they don't show up to sessions with you because they have something more important to do. So you got to be that important thing by always creating value. Every single interaction, phone call, meeting, workshop, the clients have to take something away. So we would like you to become a 5-star business advisor. Clients go, thank you so much for seeing me today. When can I see you again? That's when you know that you created that value. What we offer is a certification program. We train, or I was going to say Elizabeth trains because Elizabeth is actually doing it these days. Our 2-day certification course, you can also take it online. And that gets you to be a GrowthWheel certified advisor. We have a printed toolbox. There's like 50% of everyone using GrowthWheel just prefer paper. You just can't sit in a meeting looking into your laptop or typing in things or your iPad or your phone. It's a lot of advisors just prefer a piece of paper. Then they may go home and track things on the online platform, but we're committed to print. So you can really use everything you can do in print, you can do online and vice versa. And we certified 3,000, as Heidi kindly mentioned. Started in Denmark, where it's used nationwide. That's where I'm from originally. And it's used by the Danish SBA. It's not called the SBA, but it's the same thing. And all new employees in Denmark is getting through our training. We have 4 or 5 courses a year. Myself, I wanted to live and work in the US, so I moved here with my family 11 years ago now, to fulfill a lifelong dream of working and living here. We launched at the MBA conference in 2010, today GrowthWheel is used in 48 states, and we have 9 SBDC networks who've implemented GrowthWheel statewide. So in Oregon, for example, they have more than 100 advisors on the platform. Illinois has where Elizabeth used to be, and used to be an advisor. How many advisors do we have in Illinois, Elizabeth?
85?
85, something like that. That's right. And we have women's business centers around the country, and I just looked up a few of them in Connecticut, Illinois, in Ohio, and in New York. And I think we have a few more than what we see here, probably in New Mexico and other places. And of course, in California, we have Titi, who signed up with us, and Working Solutions have more than 600 clients on the platform that has a free account that they get. Around the world, we are in now 48 countries, and we have translated GrowthWheel into 11 languages, and we are working on 3 more right now. That's the software, that is all the printed tools, it's everything. For you, of course, most importantly, it's available in Spanish. So you can simply switch between English and Spanish. Maybe we can show you later. So everything can be done in both languages. So an advisor could even use the English platform. The client could use the Spanish, or however anybody wanted to work with it. So why are all these business advisors using GrowthWheel? And I guess, Elizabeth, we should ask you, because you used to be a user and an SBDC advisor. So why don't you start out here before we go into a demo and just give the big picture of what it is that makes these people come to our training and sign up for using this platform.
Absolutely. And as David said, yes, I was a business advisor for 8 years, and then I was a small business development center director for 11 years after that. And I used to use GrowthWheel with my clients. I loved it. So moving on to the next slide, you can see that probably the best way to quickly explain GrowthWheel and what it's all about is to use our tagline, which is about making decisions and taking action. So GrowthWheel really is a visual checklist that is going to help you to find the decisions and actions that your clients need to be taking. It's a way you can look at the business and the work you're doing in it. So the conversations about the business become really simple, and it looks like this. So there's these 4 challenges that are the same for all businesses. And it helps kind of go through that. And there's really no surprises for anyone. So they can see what those, in all industries, all life stages, no matter what the size is. So of course, a startup business may have a little different than a growth business. Maybe the first one starting to hire their very first employee versus hiring 10 employees a month, but they're still the same challenges. So as I said, there's no surprise to anyone, and they're just the 4 basic building blocks of any business. So let's jump into what they are. So every business has to have an attractive business concept. So what is the product or the service or the technology that your clients are going to be putting out into the market? Who are they selling it to? Their customer segments, and their products and their portfolio of products and services. But they also have to have a strong organization. So that's the backbone of the business and how it's structured. And nobody can do it all alone. You have to have, whether it's accountants or attorneys or graphic designers or suppliers or vendors. So who are the other partners that are working with you? Even if you already had that, money only comes from one place, and that's from the customers. So how are we marketing ourselves out into the market, public relations, branding, things like that. And finally, my experience was the part my clients didn't want to deal with as much, which was the operations. So how do we make sure that they've got profitable operations? So that's looking at the financials and making sure their ratios are on point, taking a look at the funding, but also how are they actually facilities and production and deliveries, et cetera. So we take all of those challenges and
I just want to throw in here, I was just thinking
sure.
about what we just heard in the previous presentation, that you may think this is for a big business, but even a freelancer actually would have exactly the same challenges. They have to come up with a product. They don't have staff. They are freelancer in nature, but that doesn't mean they work alone, right? They have the partnerships that Elizabeth mentioned. They have to manage their funds as well. They have to be out there to get clients. So that's actually, if you think about a freelancer all the way up to a company with 20 or 50 employees or more, right? It's basically the same stuff. Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. So we take those big 4 challenges and we break them down into 20 focus areas. And that gives us that 360-degree view of the business. And it looks like that. So it's really just a simple checklist, and it's a way to make sure that you're not forgetting anything. And so it's a checklist with colors. So you may notice that they're focus areas you're already working on. You're already covering this naturally with your clients. And your entrepreneurs are already working on them as well. So it's nothing new for anybody to figure out. It's very easy. I found working with clients that it was very intuitive for them. They could kind of see that. So it's this checklist with colors. It's visual, it's simple, holistic, I would say. So some of the things we like about it, it does help to convince your clients, quickly show them that you understand business in general and their business in particular. Also helps to remember so you don't have any blind spots, you're not dropping any balls or anywhere. And then also you're gonna get to that shared language. Like I said, it was very intuitive for my clients to kind of go, oh, well, that would be about this issue. So we got to a faster dialogue much faster. And David, we talked about some of the tools and that's the workflow that we have. And you were talking about that, infographic. But GrowthWheel, even with all of these tools, with all of these elements of your workflow, we have tools that are going to go with each one of those. So it helps support the workflow with your clients in a really natural way. So I don't know if you want to talk about onboarding maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I can do that. Let's dive into the first one. We're going to cover in this webinar all of these and just show you how the tool can help with this. I'll say in advance that there's nothing we can show you that you couldn't do in Excel. So you can actually take this framework and you would be able to create some of the same stuff that we have done. We spent more time on it. We made it look nice. We spent a lot of effort in making great design to make things look professional. And we have a lot of details, as you will see. But you'll find that this is pretty much some of the things that you are already doing, starting with the onboarding process. And for someone like us who's trying to make a living from this, we sit down when we develop our product and think about how can we create a 5-star onboarding process. So clients go like, I just visited this entrepreneurship center, this SBDC, this Women Business Center, this Technical Assistance Center. And you know what? That was such a great experience. I came through the door, guess what happened? They really understand my business. They asked exactly the right questions. I have a full understanding of how they can help me. How could we get to that? We're still working on it, but we have a few things already. And one of the first things we try to do is to say, well, let's see if we can give the chance for those clients who like to have a digital relationship with an entrepreneurship center. Let's create a platform where you can collaborate online with your advisor. And let's make a way to make a simple business profile. So just by entering a few facts, you can get a document that talks about your business that can be used by the client, can be used by the advisor, could be used by the bank. So that's the first thing I'm going to show you, how GrowthWheel can help in 15 minutes, if you make a short version, to create a business profile by just entering a little bit of information on the platform. So when you go on the platform, you just type in data and it starts with your address and your logo and stuff like that. And that will, and maybe some business descriptions and some products and stuff like that. It's all on the platform. And then all this data converts into a PDF file. So it's the end of messy Word documents, and in a structured way, you can produce data. And if some of you, we know that it's very normal for small business advisors to work with maybe 50 clients a year. Some would even say 100. And some of them you have a phone call with, of course, and others you work with for a longer time. So you got to keep track of all the information for all these businesses. So it's really helpful if it's always in exactly the same format. And that's what this does. It produces a cover page with the address, social media, maybe legal information, EIN number, founding date. There's some pages for the business profile. You have your products with the picture and just a very brief description. There's your markets, maybe one, maybe three. Maybe you don't put in information about your market because you don't even know yet who your market is. Then you can start asking about that, your competitors, and maybe your customer references, your team. You can even download team member profiles if you wanted that to be a part of it, board members if you have an advisory board, and your professional service providers, your bank, your CPA, your suppliers, agents, distributors, or whatever partners you have. And all this comes out in this business profile. It even has a summary. So if you just want a one-page summary, all this information just picks the most key paragraphs, the headlines, and it puts it into a one-page document that also prints out if you just want that single one-pager. So that's the business profile. And I want to show you live how it works. So on
David, I was going to let you know real quick, there was a request to slow down.
Okay, yes,
So
sorry about it.
Sure, so.
Oh, we have all the time in the world. Sometimes we are
We're excited.
forced to do a presentation in half an hour. And I forgot that Heidi actually gave us a full hour, so we can do half speed. But also, I intentionally meant to go through this very fast because now I'm going to show it to you live. However, it will be a fast video as well. But feel free to keep chatting, and Elizabeth will keep an eye on it. And then we will just stop and go back, and we can even go into the live platform and see things in more detail. But let me show you quickly here, though, how you can go to the platform and create a client. So you put in the name and the name of the founder, owner, and you're done. And now you can invite them to the platform, and there's already an email template that will explain to the client, what is this GrowthWheel thing? It's a place where we can do a lot of things, and here's your password. So you can log in, you can edit it, and send it to the client. And now either you or the client can start entering data. You both have access, like the address, the logo, phone number, Twitter account. And let's stop right here. Download a profile, cover page, and there's one employee, Daniel, and nothing else. This is the shortest possible business profile you can have in 5 seconds. But we can add more information. Maybe, maybe not. You want to add the EIN number, the type of legal entity that you have, maybe the founding date if relevant, or maybe the client just puts it in because the field is there. You can add more team members. Maybe this person is working with a colleague that can be also invited to the platform for free. You can add a profile for the founder, including a bio. Daniel loves coffee. He always did. Now he's selling roasting machines. You can move on to the business and add different kinds of information. So maybe information about the product. And he's selling coffee roasting machines, like this one that we can pull in a picture of. And what's the name? It's the Coffee Roaster X2000. It's a medium-sized roaster for small spaces. It's the typical buyer are independent cafes. The value for customers is they can make their own roast, so they can attract clients, and the pricing is $1,850. The revenue per year is so much in any currency, and so on. So you only have 140 characters to put in. But if you don't want to do it, you can just enter the headline. So say we have another product, the X3000R for red, and you just leave it at that. Save it, you're done. And now you have a list of the products or services that the client is selling. We can also add a market. So let's add those independent cafes that might be buying this. And who are they anyway? Let's take a picture. They look like this. And you can describe them, but only in 140 characters. So, you know, it's independent cafes. They are not, you know, they have space for a machine. They're not interested in, they are interested in making their own roast. And the top 5 customers may be a Sana Cafe, Bistro Coffee, the Coffee Mug. You can, if you want, indicate market share by dollars or maybe just by number of customers. There's 120. Your potential is 50. And right now you have 12. So you get a little chart that shows your market share if you want, because maybe you don't. Maybe you just want to add the name of the market. You could sell these machines to espresso bars. So you put espresso bars, you save it, you're done. The rest can always come later. Same way for a lot of other information. Competitors, right? Who are they? Top 3 strengths, top 3 weaknesses. Very simple. And I'm going to skip it because I don't want to add that right now. Instead, I want to add a business description. And you have only 6 headlines to choose from. I'm going to pick history of the business. It all started with a cup of coffee. The rest is history. And I want to show you here, I can just add in a little bit more text if I want to. And there's always a picture to make it look nice. Partners. Well, you may ask a client, who's your bank? Who is your CPA and so on. And you can quickly enter a little information about that. Maybe you have a credit line. You can go on Google. You can find a logo of that CPA, drag it in and save it. And you could add also a partner distributor of some sort and have that on the page as well. So now let's look here at the business profile. We can download one page at a time or the full profile. And now in maybe 15 minutes, the client have been able to produce, or you have been able to produce, a cover page with the legal information, description of the history, the products, one is described more than the other, a market and one more, 2 team members, your bank, your CPA, and a distributor. And that's really it. So that is how you make a business profile like this, either right when the client is onboarded, so you get the most simple and best way to track information about the client. Could be you're interviewing the client. And as you ask these questions, which you already ask, instead of putting it in your notebook, you type it in online. So now you can give the client this product that they have. Or the very smart advisors to tell the client to do this work, so they can just download a PDF and they have this overview that they can bring to every single session. So that is the business profile that clients can create themselves, maybe supported by you. The value for the clients of this is that they can make use of the information they provide. So if they fill this out, it's not like filling out a government form like the 641. They actually get a product from the information they give you. Also, they will enjoy that you can remember everything about them. Because if they mention a competitor or a market or a product or a partner, you have it right there. And they will see that you can remember that. And of course, they're going to love it that they can make this in 60 minutes. That's the value for the clients. The value for you, hopefully, is that it's going to be so easy to hand over a client to a colleague. Instead of explaining everything about that client or work 2 advisors on the same client, they can just get the business profile and they're up to speed. You have an overview of your clients is always in the same format. When you go like, who are these guys selling to? Who's their top clients? What are their basic information? You know, you have it right there. You know where to find it. And then, of course, you're going to hopefully like that you can produce a professional product to your client. So you could do the same in Word. It's easy enough to make a Word template, and maybe you even have one, a questionnaire for the client. What we've done is trying to make it a little bit better by standardizing and structuring the data, make a good-looking PDF file, add graphics to it, and of course have it online so you can collaborate in the cloud. So let's just take a breather here and see before I want to move on with one more thing, Elizabeth, before I turn it over to you. I want to see if there's any questions, or if somebody would like to see some details, then we can go on the actual online platform and just share information there. Do you see any comments, Elizabeth? Otherwise, I can't click the chat right now, you see.
No, there's someone who said that they're going to have to hop off, but they were interested in the cost of GrowthWheel. So, and I think this is being recorded, so they'll be able to see that once you cover that later.
Right. Oh, there goes the other chance of reviewing these things that are going too fast. So nice to have a recording. But we have a lot to cover, and I want to cover one more thing because maybe you also want to have basic financial information about the client. So in exactly the same way, we made it, you can enter financial data on the platform, and it will generate a financial overview report. It has a page for your revenue, one page. It shows your revenue for the last 3 years and the last 5 quarters, or maybe just for the last 5 quarters. If it's a new business that is just starting, you can add export if you want to, or you could just leave it out. There's a page for the client's profit margins, gross profit, operating profit, net profit. Clients may not know all these numbers. They may only know the gross profit, or maybe they don't. Maybe that's a chance to ask them, what is your gross profit? A very, very important number to know and to monitor. You can enter the information you want and leave the rest out. The client can do the same. You could count employees. For freelancers, it's not so relevant, but for growing companies and for you who are all in economic development, surely want to track how many full-time employees, part-time, temporaries, or seasonal. That's where the freelancers fit in, right? Because a lot of established businesses, including us, are hiring a lot of freelancers. I think we are 15 full-time people in the company, and at any point in time, we have at least 20 freelancers working from us. We have TaskRabbits, we have Fancy Hands, we have Upwork, we have virtual assistant companies. So I can only testify to what we heard in the first presentation, how important this trend is. There's a balance sheet that where you can just type in some basic assets and liabilities and leave the rest uncategorized. You can track funds received, credit lines, loans, mortgage, and stuff. And you see, if you have the business profile and the financial overview, maybe that's even a lending package you have right there. And all the details you can get from QuickBooks or Xero when you download the details. So that's the financial overview. And actually, I'm not going to do a live demo of that if there is no questions for that. So with that, Elizabeth, I'm going to hand it over to you, assuming there's no additional questions here for the business profile. This was all about the onboarding process, but that's just the beginning. Now you have to figure out how you can help the client. And Elizabeth, you have a chance to show some of the solutions we have for that and some of the other solutions that are out there that are not GrowthWheel.
Right. And you actually covered this a little bit about, there's lots of different ways that you may already be doing this with your clients, different ways you're doing the assessment. But so how do you do a 5-star client assessment so they really feel like you understand who they are? And there's different options that you may have. We call them 6 conventional ways. So whether you just have a list of questions that you go through, maybe you review their business plan, you take a look at their financials if they have them, if they're up and running. SWOT analysis can be very popular, balanced scorecard. And I knew a lot of other business advisors that use the business model canvas as well. So whether you use any of those, you'll see that we've got a couple of different ways in GrowthWheel that we can use to actually do that assessment with the clients. And the first one we're going to take a look at is the 360-degree screening tool. So we're going to take a look at that. This is on paper, as David was saying. Everything in GrowthWheel is going to be on paper and online as well. And this is a really easy way just to get focused in about 10 minutes. So it's on paper, but it's also online. So actually the clients can do it themselves. And it's a really simple way to do the scoring. It's just, are you 25, 50, 75, 100% of the way there? And just takes about 10 minutes to get done. Doesn't take a really long time because it really is intuitive. It's fast. It's true, because usually the clients know what's going on and you can understand. I used to use it as an interview tool, and it's enough. This isn't, I always tell clients, I said, this isn't the SAT score. It's not going to follow you around for the rest of your life. So it's just sort of like a balance sheet is a snapshot of a day. This is a snapshot of where's the client. So we can do this on paper and circle things out if we want to. And you can see there on the bottom that it shows that there's different ways to do the assessment. So we'll take a closer look at that. So you can do the screening your own way, do it multiple ways. So whether you want to assess their status, how are they doing, assess their opportunities, what are the hot opportunities or the low-hanging fruit they may want to grab, and assessing skills. I usually call that one the skills that they need to hire or acquire. So what do they need to bring on board with them? We can also use this to see that there is more to the picture than meets the eye. And you can use this as a way to look for root causes. So I had a client, for example, that came in and said, I just need help with sales. That's it. I just need help with sales. And that's okay. But then it turned out that they had a lot of other challenges. So for example, my particular client had a very limited product portfolio, not a lot of options that they were selling. So if they had expanded that, they could have better offerings, more offerings that might be appeal to a wider market. The other challenge that my client had, it was a mom and pop and some people, a small manufacturer. There was no full-time salesperson that could go off to trade shows and that could travel and did that selling on a full-time. So they need to take a look at the employees that they had. And in my client's case, they had a lot of waste and obsolescence. So their cost of goods were too high. So we could take a look at their financials and see where we could kind of focus on that and find other ways. So, you know, we talk about that companies fail because they spend their time on the wrong things. If my client just tried to get more sales, that wasn't going to help when they had all these other issues. That if you had a multi-prong approach, that was going to work better for them. So really quickly going through the assessment on paper, you can just flip it over and there you can write down some notes, some things that the client needs to be doing, and you've got something that you can actually kind of hand out to them. So it's a product right there from a first session if you want to do it. Thanks so much for coming to see us. Here's an assessment of your business. So it really makes a really great first impression. It shows that you're going to be working with visual tools that are going to be really action oriented. You're going to be focusing on moving forward. So live demo. All right, let's do a quick live demo here. And looking at
There's
this.
a question I think we can just check before we move on.
Oh, sure. Let's see, there's someone else that says that they've got to jump off, but please send the recording. That'd be great. And Heidi said, yep. So if anybody else has any questions, let us know and we can answer those, but I don't see anyone typing. So I think we're good.
All right.
We can always back up. Okay, so on our little demo here, we're gonna be actually doing a screening. There we go. So we've got our client and we're gonna go into our screening and you can see there's multiple screenings here. Get to that. And we're gonna add a new screening. So maybe this is an initial screening at our first meeting and we selected a status assessment. It's really quick to click around the wheel. If you don't want something, click away. You can circle some focus areas and here we can save a draft and you can see right there already you can download it. You have a very quick screening just been put together. So we'll go back into this and now we can actually add decisions and actions. So, you know, decide what is going to be our next target market. Create a note, sort of a FYI that we only have clients in our state. Action step to, you know, update a distributor agreement. They're already here down below. You can actually click them off, put them on a timeline, which we'll cover that a little bit later. We can share this with the client and say, hey, add some more decisions and actions. And then the client will actually get that screening themselves. So we can see that we've shared the client with the client. We can download it. And there we've got our decisions, actions, the to-dos that the client has, their action steps right there below. The other tool that we've got, make sure everybody's good, is also looking at what we call the scoreboard, where we're going to talk to clients about mapping out those ambitions, those really big goals. This is a great time of year to do it too, because everyone wants to set those New Year's resolutions. What do they want to achieve this year? What do they want to see? So here we've got the pad on paper, and sometimes if you say, you know, what are your big ambitions? Sometimes the clients go, I don't know. So we actually made a checklist. So it's very easy. So it's a way you can actually kind of prod with the client, say, you know, what about this? What about that? Have you thought about adding some new products or getting some investments or increasing your prices, whatever it might be. Of course, you can do this all online as well. It's really easy to click on the green plus ambition button, and then you can go ahead and add ambition. Here we're going to add a new sales associate. And then kind of add in any decisions or actions right there. That will go straight onto their action plan, which is great. And then you can also see that you've got actually analytics of what's being done, you know, what the client's working on. I'm just taking I see there's a question that's open. Back up and go over how you filled out the wheel, moving too fast to absorb. Okay, we will, I promise.
Yeah,
okay.
Let's go into, we can go in and do it live on on a,
Yes.
in a browser, maybe, Elizabeth, and just show
Yes.
that that part. It was super fast.
That sounds great. It was pretty
But
fast.
yeah, let's park that to the end, and then because we have a lot to show, so we'll do that, and then we can go back and revisit some of the key concepts. That would be great.
Okay.
And
And so,
chime in here. Let me just chime in here. This isn't to show you how to use the tool necessarily. This is more to show you the power of the tool and all the features that it has. So I'm guessing, David and Elizabeth, that if someone does decide to work with GrowthWheel, that you do training with the counselors and things like that.
yes.
Yeah. So we're we're not going to learn how to use GrowthWheel today. We're just giving an idea of what of the power of it.
Yeah, give you a good feel for it, and I can mention in that context that that's why we have a 2-day training course.
Yes.
So everybody who's using GrowthWheel get a thorough training. You work with real life cases. Everybody gets to sit for 2 days with colleagues from the industry and go through everything. We also have it online, so you can get certified online. So you can see these videos in your own speed. You can revisit them. And we mix that with coaching calls with Elizabeth. So everyone is taken care of. We even have follow-up training. So when you get certified, we have monthly follow-up training sessions where we go in details with different things, including the screening. So there's a whole 45-minute webinar just about the screening that we just did in, I was going to say 15 seconds, but almost, I think the video was that. So yes, thank you, Heidi. There's lots of opportunity to dive in deep. We also offer for people who are curious what we call a client test drive. That takes 90 minutes. And there you would bring a real life client and we would coach them on the platform while you are watching. So you can see how in real life and real speed, we would take the client through such a process by means of the tools. So bear with us as we try to give you the big picture, and then we have plenty of options for you to dive deep. So lean back, enjoy the ride, and just focus on the big picture, if I may say so.
All right, David, do you
Elizabeth?
have anything else to add on the screening? So those are a couple different ways that we do assessments. Whether you want to do an assessment using the 360-degree screening tool, or whether you want to work with them with ambitions. We're just in the interest of time not doing a demo of that, but we could at the end if someone wanted to see that.
Right. So the only thing I can add is really that that you're already doing this. Probably you're asking your clients sometimes, what do you want to achieve this year? Where do you see yourself in 5 years, or things like that? We just made a pad for it and an online platform. And the same with the 360 screening. All advisors do this. Tell me about your business. How's it going? Where's your problems? Where's your opportunities? What do you need to learn? So it's really just nothing but a visualization of what's already going on that allows you to show up in a structured way. And as Elizabeth showed, actually deliver a product for the client, because all these things are not just talks and conversations. It is tech tools that gives people a takeaway from every session. So it's really just making existing processes visual and digital. With that, we can try to jump on to the next part of your work. Now you know that the client need either, as Elizabeth covered, help with sales, or maybe improving their products, or maybe hiring more staff or freelancers, which is a great way for a small business to get started. Hire someone 2 hours a week just to get started, or work on their pricing or their cost structure, or whatever it might be. And now you need to find a way to share tools with them. And our solution to that is that we have pre-made these tools and made it so you can also upload your own tools to the platform, because we know advisors have preferences and very successful tools they're using. And we made it so you can make a custom package for every client, so nobody gets the same. And our way of designing tools is to make one-page tools. So we have more than 100 tools, like a library of tools, and they all look the same. They are only one page, never 2 pages, because we want to keep it simple for the client. And they cover just one key decision, like your sales process, your product portfolio, who's going to be on your advisory board, or how can you minimize the risks that your business are facing, or things like that. So a typical decision sheet looks like this one. It has here a map of different kinds of products that you can have. Any business, whether you're a freelancer or a bakery or a restaurant or a tech company, can have introductory products, something small or cheap to get a foot in the door. Maybe some core products, could be 4, could be 50. Maybe they can come in variations of colors or sizes or qualities. And then you have add-on products. And some businesses make most of their money on the add-on product, that extra thing that you can buy. Do you want a donut with your coffee? Do you want some shampoo after your haircut? Do you want extra tires with your car? A cable for your phone? And then you may have a flagship product, the most expensive full solution that you can offer. And this sheet has no solutions. It doesn't tell you what's right. That is going to be between you and the client to explore and figure out and test. But it does give you a framework to discuss just that decision. There's a guideline on the left that describes what's the intention of doing this. Well, we want to have more products so we can increase our revenue. What's the process of going through this, and what's the next step as soon as you're finished? We even have, for all these decision sheets, videos that Elizabeth recorded. So as you email a tool like this to the client, it comes with a link to a video so the client can get an explanation by video, which many prefer in this time and age. That's a typical decision sheet in all its simplicity. Let's talk about how you can come up with an extra product. So a decision sheet like this, it takes maybe 30 minutes to fill out, right? You can't almost spend more time on it. Maybe 15 minutes. It's very fast. You just focus on one thing. And the most important thing, because you did the screening and found out which one are we going to start with. Maybe with Elizabeth's client, you go like, well, everything is important, but let's start with the product portfolio, right? That's our path to selling more. So, you may not reach a final decision after 30 minutes, but if you give this to the client as homework, you're not asking them to write an entire business plan for 3 months. You're just asking them to spend 30 minutes and just think about this. Come back to me next week with some notes, and we will take it from there. So it's a way to break down the decision-making process in a small business into bite-sized pieces. Instead of trying to make 100 decisions at once, we just cherry pick the most interesting. And we have 100 decision sheets. So no matter what decision you can think about, should I increase my price? Should I buy a new machine? Should I get a partner? Should I learn from the competition? Should I change my value proposition? Should I be better at networking? Update my website? Use social media? You can mention it, and there'll be a decision sheet for that, because we mapped that out over the last many years in partnership with advisors. Of course, you don't need 100 decision sheets. Nobody does that. The worst thing you could do is to give all these decision sheets to a client and say, okay, you bring this home, come back to me when you're done. Come back to me when you have decided how you're going to run your business in all these areas, right? It's like writing an old-fashioned business plan. It's going to be hard and obsolete before you even finished, because things change. So maybe you need 5 or 6 decision sheets. And if you are writing a business plan for some reason, well, this is the groundwork. The content of a business plan is all these decisions about what you're going to do in the future. Here's another sheet. It's called the sales chain. So it's about understanding your sales process, how you prepare before you meet the client, how you open the sale, how you close it, how you maintain the sale once the client is there, how you retain the client. And here's one for hiring somebody. Yeah, I could use some help in my business. Well, who are you going to hire? Is it a marketing person? Is it a certain person who can deliver some products? And who are they? What are they thinking? What kind of person are they? What is their training? What is their career path before? And what career path can you offer them? Things like that. Or maybe here's a checklist for improving your cash flow. More than 20 different ways you can improve cash flow. Which one is useful and which one is useless? And then pick the right ones. So those are the decision sheets that are all in print. So our certified advisors, and Titi has a binder with all the sheets. You can copy them, you can print them, and you can also email them to clients, so you're completely paperless for those clients who prefer it. So let's take a look here at how that looks when you log on to GrowthWheel Online and you see the GrowthWheel. It's a menu, so you can scroll around. You can just click product portfolio. And here you see there's 5 sheets under this section. You can download the product mix that I just showed, and you can write in it. So these are writable PDF files. So clients can fill them out. They can upload them to the platform. They can print them. They come with your logo on it. You can also email it to the client and add things to a tool basket, like a shopping cart. You can search for tools, like maybe a client is going to a trade show, it finds the tools for trade show, you add them. You can add your personal tools. So if you're working with business model canvas, you can upload it. You can have any sheets, spreadsheets, 641 forms and anything, add it to a tool basket, enter the client's email address, and just send this package of tools to the client. And they don't even receive the PDF files. They receive links to the PDF files with videos so that they can just click and download when they want and watch a video about it. So that is the way that we've tried to organize tools. But GrowthWheel is an open platform today. It wasn't 3 years ago, for those who've known us for a while. But today, you don't even have to use the GrowthWheel tools. You can upload your own tools and just use GrowthWheel as the platform for collaborating and sharing and creating action plans. So that is the 360 screening right there. Heidi's saying here, yes, we're gonna move faster actually and wrap it up. I just want to show you have a log file here, the tools that you've sent, and you can go in and use this. So the value really of these decision sheets is that client can understand the topics they're working on because we simplified them. Any freelancer, anyone who's new in business can understand this concept of a product portfolio. It's faster to make decisions because you know your alternative options, and everybody gets a custom toolbox just made for them because you assemble maybe 5, 6 tools for somebody. And Elizabeth, that brings us to the action plan that you can run over real fast. And let's just quickly move on with that. But I think we need to know here, Heidi, how much time we are talking about.
Well, we
are getting to the hour, so we actually
yeah, we're getting close to the hour.
Yeah.
I know we started you a few minutes late, but I mean, I think the idea, let's give a big picture idea on what the action plan is. I mean, I think like I mentioned before, we're not going to learn how to do it here.
No. Okay. I'm going to show just 5 slides here to wrap it up, and then we will finish off. So yeah, action plan is simple. It's a pad on the online platform. You saw a glimpse of it. We can go in and do that. For the CM system, you can go in and you have a list of your clients. You have all the information about them. You can see their revenue if it's tracked and other CM features. The whole CM part here covers adding client data, tracking meetings, exchanging emails, planning meetings, doing meeting minutes and follow-up, things you may do in a Word document today. And as we get to the reporting, I just want to show quickly here that all advisors and the managers get aggregated data on clients, their life stage, their company size, the ownership by gender, aggregated revenue numbers. You can see how clients are executing on action plans. We have the ambitions that we saw already, and everything comes out as a PDF file so you can present to your colleagues real easy. So yeah, that's actually the wrap up and how we have tried to build a system that covers all these things in a workflow. So I'm actually going to finish off here and open up for any last questions.
Yeah, I do know that people, I mean, I think people are interested in GrowthWheel. So could you just give us, like, if they were to sign up by themselves, not like if we do something,
yeah,
we do something aggregated, but can you just give us an idea about that so they could walk away? And then, I mean, we're in talks with David to figure out the best way to work with CAMEO members and GrowthWheels together so that people can afford.
Yeah, you're in a quite unique situation in California because you have your CAMEO network. So we have deep discounts for networks. So for example, Oregon, that has 130 advisors, I think, have pricing based on that. And usually we do it for SBDCs or women business centers and so on. But since you're a network, we could do that. But let me show you here that to get, I need to run these slides here. To get your hands on GrowthWheel, you need to be certified. And once you're certified, it's for life. You even get lifetime free recertification, online or in person. You have monthly free on-track webinars that Elizabeth is doing. You have an unlimited free coaching calls. So we will make sure that it works for you. And you can even talk to us about specific clients and their problems, and we can find a solution for them. And then we have 5 days a week, free support around the clock because we work in different time zones. The price for the certification course, if you are nonprofit and for-profit, is $2,000. But if you're part of America's SBDCs, it's only $1,000. So that's probably the rate that would apply to your network, because you are kind of that same government-funded or SBA-funded or locally funded organization. We even have a special rate at the ASBDC conference coming up here next year in Atlanta, which is $750. But then more importantly, we have a group rate. So the group rate is $8,000 for a local course in California for up to 40 people. So now if you're 10, it's only 1,200. And if you're 20, it's only 700. And you can do the math. If you get a big group at CAMEO coming together, we're talking about a certification price that is not $2,000, but more close to $500 for lifetime certification. An example is if you're 15, more than 15 with the American SBDC pricing, it pays to get the group rate. Then you pay a license fee as long as you're using GrowthWheel, and the license fee gives you access to all the online tools that we're showing you. You can give all your clients a free account. So whether you have 50 or 100 or 500 clients, they all get a free account for life. We have monthly software updates. So we continue to develop this platform in partnership with advisors, and you even have the opportunity to charge your clients. Now, most of you offer your services for free. Maybe sometimes you charge for workshops because it's better if people pay. If they pay, they pay attention. Whether it's $10 or $25, it helps. So if you charge for GrowthWheel services, it could actually break even for you. The price for a certification, if you're for-profit, is $366 per month for the first advisor and $185 for the second advisor. But for you as a if you pay annually upfront, it drops. For you, it's $185 per month for the first advisor up to the fifth advisor, but there are discounts. So advisor number 6 to 15 is $125, and advisor number 16 to 30 is $83 a month. So in other words, if you join us CAMEO, then the more you add, the lower the price get, and you would get an average price for the number of advisors you are adding. I want to show here how much money it is per client. So let's say you have 10 clients a year. Then it's $200 per client or $17 per client per month. But if you have 50 clients, we're talking $3.33 per client per month. It's the price of a grande cappuccino latte.
Maybe even
that
less.
gives you this right there.
Yeah.
So you can do the math. The more clients you have, the lower the price. So that, I think, is the quick walkthrough. This next step I just want to cover as the very last slide.
And David, just to jump in, Noah had a question: how does GrowthWheel integrate with Neosera or other CA CRMs? Or can it report directly to EDMIS for SBA reporting purposes? Which I used to use Neosera as well. So
yes,
I didn't know if you would answer.
Right. GrowthWheel is not yet EDMIS compliant. So you will continue to use Neosera. That will be kind of your back-end system. GrowthWheel is the front-facing, where the client logs in and where you create products for the client. Now they integrate. So what you can do is everything you send out from GrowthWheel can, through the post box in Neosera, automatically show up. We tested this with Neosera, and it works for those who are using Neosera. So you simply blind copy your post box, and you can even put it in the GrowthWheel settings. So everything you hand out goes in there. The other integration we have, Noah, is that we can take all your clients from Neosera and import them. So they show up on GrowthWheel automatically. And you can even in Neosera set up a report. So every Monday it generates a report of the new clients, or every day if you want. And if you forward that file with us, maybe just the client's phone number and basic information, we can import it. But you don't have to, because all you need to do on GrowthWheel Online is to create the client's name and give them an account. Then you can actually leave it to the client to enter all the CRM data. You don't have to do that. But we have those options for integration if you want.
Yeah, no, I'm going to jump in and say that one thing I really loved was that I could email the client, and it would actually, if I blind copied my post box in Neosera, it made a coaching session in Neosera. So I always thought about Neosera was what I had to do for the government, for SBA, but GrowthWheel is really for the client because the client can't get into Neosera, obviously. So GrowthWheel is really for the client to be able to use that. But it was great that I didn't have to actually create a coaching session. I just emailed the client and I'd have some notes or whatever and some tools, and it created a coaching session for me. So it wasn't extra work at all.
So my last slide is before you want to make a decision about becoming a GrowthWheel certified advisor, one thing you can do is get an information package from us and a quote. Go to growthwheel.com/quote, answer a few questions, and we will send the package to you with also information from this webinar. Maybe some colleagues needs to see it. They can sign. We do this webinar, same thing, only in 45 minutes, twice a month. And you can sign up at growthwheel.com/webinar or request a recording for your colleagues, even this recording. You can schedule a call with me. Go to growthwheel.com/call-David. We can have a talk about all those issues that you want to have answered after maybe reviewing this. And again, as I mentioned, you can have a client test drive, 90-minute session where we walk through a real life situation. And then you may be ready to see if this is something that would work for you.
Yeah, and I'm just going to add to that is that if you want to be part of the CAMEO, like if you want to be part of the CAMEO network cohort, you should email me and I can gauge who's interested so we can figure out what the best way to proceed is for you guys. But you can definitely get more information about GrowthWheel from David. And I think, does anybody have any other questions for either David or Elizabeth? Thank you guys for being patient and chiming in there. I know that was a long hour and a half.